This podcast includes explicit content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey kids! Welcome to your latest episode of the Erstis podcast Meets, where we sit down and chat with fabulous people who we think have something interesting to say, whether that be authors, artists, activists, sex workers, you name it, we've met them.
The Erstis podcast.
For today's episode of the Erstis podcast Meets, I have on the line right now Pornhub Aria. Hi, Arya.
Hi.
Thank you so much for talking to us, for making some space to be able to have this conversation.
Of course.
We are really excited about talking to you and getting to know a little bit more about what do you do, how did you see your job, and about all the exciting bits of it.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. So jumping straight to the questions. Your official title, I think I've seen over the internet that your official title is the Princess of Pornhub. What does that entail?
Oh, yes, I am the princess. So I'm the face of the brand, and I use my voice and my image for all of the social media, and I help make up part of our marketing squad.
So that's your royal tasks, pretty much.
Those are my royal duties, yes.
Cool. And what sparked your interest in this industry? How did you get into here?
So I was approached by an old employee of the company, and he had told me all of the great opportunities this role could have. And I was really excited by the possibilities. So I sort of just took a leap of faith, and I turned out to obviously be very happy that I did. I started off kind of on a smaller brand, just sort of to get my feet wet. Into social media. And then slowly but surely, I started being the face of certain campaigns and doing photo shoots and things like that. And it sort of slowly morphed into the role. I've been in as Pornhub Aria. I've been about 3-ish years.
And you're doing amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And tell us, over these 3 years of work at Pornhub, is there something as a typical work day at Pornhub?
Yeah, I mean, my day is very, very normal. I come in at around 8:30, and I start my day kind of on the internet. I'll tweet and I'll Instagram, and I'll kind of stalk the internet a bit to see what's on trend and what's topical for that day, and kind of delve deep into the interweb. And then also, I mean, lunch is a very important decision. Very important. I know what I'm having for lunch by 9:30 in the morning.
Absolutely. And what do you have normally?
Oh my God, it varies. Uber Eats is really my best friend and my worst enemy.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
You have plenty of choices over there.
Oh God, there's pizza, there's dumplings. It's really never-ending buffet of chubby food.
Oh my God, nice.
Yeah.
So we finally have a sponsor. And this is none other than Erstis. That's right, the Erstis podcast sponsored by Erstis. Who would have thought it? This means if you want to see what our day job looks like, then head to erstis-podcast.com/Erstis. That's ERSTIES. Check out the video and follow the link, and you'll receive 50% off your first month. Please note that the content is 18+.
What would be the most special bits about working for Pornhub? Or in other words, what makes you the proudest about your job?
I mean, every day is sort of a new adventure for me. I don't really know what's coming for me every day and every week. And it's always sort of a thrilling and motivating experience because it's kind of a surprise even day to day for me. And I'm just really proud kind of to be on a small team because we're not a big team, and we work really, really hard, and we're all very, very, very close and supportive of one another. And I think honestly, that's kind of the secret to our success. And then it's cool to do photo shoots and stuff, but it was really cool to be part of our first award show. I think that's something that's really been special for me as well.
Yeah, something really new and really big, I can imagine. Or
yeah, the award show was really like just really crazy because it just took on a life of its own that I don't even think any of us even expected it to be. And so it was just really special, I guess, to be part of that. Like I said, my photo shoots and stuff are really fun too, and my day-to-day is amazing. But if you're going to ask me what my most proud moment would be, I would say probably the award show.
and what made it so special? Like what in particular?
I just think, like I said, we're not a big team. Just the fact that we executed kind of a really big show, had, Kanye West as our creative director, just kind of the elevated sort of interesting, different take we had on an award show. Aesthetically, I just thought it was really impressive and really special and really nice that we all sort of came together and built this from literally none of us ever had any experience, making award shows. So it was really, I have to say, it's like nice to kind of, it's almost like having a baby, like you work so hard and you see the fruits of your labor,
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What are like the most frequent cliches or misconceptions that people give you about you and your job?
Ugh. Then I'm like the horniest, most sexually charged girl, and my office is like an orgy. And so it's just like, I can't imagine how traumatic it would be if your office every day you would like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to make my coffee, but the orgy just began, so I have to go, it's so crazy what people think is and what obviously it isn't. And people just I feel like people just think that which I am. I'm really sex positive, which is completely different from being like a horny teenager,
Totally. Yeah, because even, if you are in this industry, like having sex is your job. It's not your private person.
It's not your hobby, you know what I mean? I mean, it can be, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess I'm because I'm not fully, I'm like adjacent industry because I'm not a porn star, but it is a job, so you can't expect people like on their off time to like just be down for sex constantly, because that's not necessarily where their headspace is at,
Yeah, you don't build a company having orgies nonstop.
Yeah, exactly. How crazy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. What do you wish people ask you about your life and your job? Like, given the things that you like the most and given the things that the cliches about your job that you hate the most, what would you like actually for people to ask you?
I mean, people often assume things about me and my job, and I just kind of wish that they would ask if I was happy before they ask all the kind of usual questions. That's really the one thing I would want people to ask me, because of course I get tons of questions all the time, but sometimes they can be judgmental and sometimes they're just genuine questions. But I wish the first thing that people would ask me was, are you happy? Because I'm thrilled, I feel like that's a question I honestly never get. And I feel like most women probably don't get that question very often. And I feel like it's a really, really undervalued question to ask. So I wish people would ask me if I was happy. And the answer is I am.
Yes. Oh, that's the best to hear. Now, that's a really terrific question, I have to say. Are you happy with what you do? Are you?
Yeah.
No one ever
and
asks
no one ever
us.
asks, think about it. No one ever asks you that.
Yeah. It's quite the opposite. Like, if you are in this industry, people ask you oh, are you mentally disturbed?
Who knows? I mean, I've gotten questions from all walks of life, but no one's ever asked me that. And I just feel like it's, such an important question to ask someone.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that's a really good one. Can you share with us something that many people wouldn't know about you? Do you have a special hobby or interests outside of your job, or a fun fact about yourself that you like to talk about?
It has nothing to do with work, but I have this very bizarre obsession, I would say, with conspiracy theories. So if you go on my Amazon book list, you'll see it's honestly embarrassing. It's all of these lists of different conspiracy books about the Vatican and the Dallas airport and all of these crazy, honestly, I'm a lunatic, all of these really insane conspiracy theory books. And I cannot get enough. There's not a conspiracy theory that I'm not excited to talk about.
Really? Which one are your favorites? Your top 3?
I think I went to Rome with my parents 10 years ago, and we went to the Vatican, and I in no way actually believe, let me preface this, that any of these theories are like accurate or anything like that, but I just find them wildly interesting to read. But so like I had read this whole conspiracy theory book about the Vatican before going. So like everything I would go into each thing that they would talk about, the ceilings, and look for this on the ceiling, and you'll see this, and this really means like something else, and the Illuminati. And like my parents wanted to disown me. Like I was really annoying because they're crying over the beauty of the walls and Da Vinci and all of that. And I'm like, this wasn't painted by Da Vinci, you know?
Everything was an inside job.
Exactly. And I'm like just like a full psycho. I'm like, that's the mark of an Illuminati, like a tried and true psychopath. But I think it's part of my charm.
Absolutely. I mean, that sounds far more interesting. Oh my God. Yeah. And totally the Vatican, there's just like so much that we don't know about it.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I really think like churches in general are pretty like secretive places because, you know, they're a government in themselves. So like, I do find that really fascinating. But like, I don't actually, if you ask me in my heart of hearts, like if I believe any of the conspiracy theories I'm reading, like I find them just more entertaining, you know?
Yeah. Well, totally. It's like people who are into science fiction or people who are into like this sort of like Lord of the Rings stories. And so
I'm a huge Harry Potter buff actually myself.
Yes, amazing. Yeah. Cool. Do you find it difficult, for example, to balance your job and your personal life?
I'm really like fortunate in my role that my role is basically to be myself. So I never really had any issues sort of adjusting. I'm kind of just me like through and through in all aspects of my life. So I never really had trouble balancing like my work life sort of personality with my home life personality because I'm kind of one and the same. Honestly, like I don't even think I could go to another job at this point because I'm just me, you know, and I'm just lucky that it all kind of fit together.
That's amazing. I think that in general, it's just like so difficult to get a job in which you are just like allowed to be yourself or in which you are wanted for being yourself.
I'm very, very lucky. And I fully acknowledge that. Like,
amazing. And totally. And then that's where you actually thrive. And that's where you actually, everyone's happy with you and you're happy with everyone. And then just like move forward. And so.
Yeah. And it's great. And so then in my personal life, I don't carry that sort of weird, like, oh, is this Aria? Like, is this me being like Pornhub Aria? Or is this just like home life, stay at home with your dog Arya? Like, who is this? You know, so it's perfect because I don't have any of that struggle that I feel like maybe other people would have.
That's very rare to achieve, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's so cool. Let's talk a little bit more about what Pornhub is about.
Okay.
Can you tell us about what the Pornhub brand it's about and what are the main messages that you want to put out there?
Well, Pornhub is still, of course, an adult site primarily, but we have different kinds of initiatives that we're working on so that we can kind of make the brand more palatable and like become more of a lifestyle brand, which I think we're doing. And obviously we couldn't be happier about doing because I feel like we're really like achieving that. We just did a collaboration with Richardson and we had a fashion show in New York with Hood by Air. And this year we launched our first Pornhub grant, which was part of our sexual wellness center. We also launched something called the Visionaries Directors Club, where we have like artists from different lines of work for like either film or music or like painting and that type of thing. And they direct porn for us. And it's been really amazing to see because it sort of brings like a new artistic avenue into the industry that I don't think we necessarily had before. I think we're kind of just trying to dominate a little everything.
It's really cool. And it's really interesting to see that you're not really like taking like the typical path of like, okay, like this is our Pornhub brand, whatever. And the message that we want to give, like besides what we're doing is like more tits and ass for everyone. You're just really like tapping into other parts of life like no one else has done before.
We're trying really hard to be like a lifestyle brand. I don't want to say that we're trying really hard because we're just moving into that avenue because that's where we sort of feel naturally like that's where we're going. And I think we're doing a really good job based on like everything that I just listed, obviously, like that isn't necessarily porn, like an adult site centric. So I feel like we're doing a really good job at sort of branding ourselves as more mainstream.
And how is people taking that so far?
So far, honestly, been unbelievably positive feedback and we're very grateful. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's been so incredible because the more we work with these amazing brands that we've been working with, the more new and exciting opportunities come for us. And it's just been like, that's why I was saying every day is kind of a new adventure, because each day brings something new and exciting to the table that wasn't there yesterday.
That's so cool. And what's your particular role into this? Because I assume that this is like a mission, as a whole, because,
right.
But in what's like your particular approach, or what's your particular role within like this brand mission of Pornhub?
Well, so like, as we know, I'm the face of the brand. So, and because I'm also on marketing, it's kind of like a multitasked level. Like, I'm the voice of the brand. So I'm usually part of sort of the launch of anything that we're doing and just kind of getting the word out there. Some of the ideas we've come up with, kind of just sitting around at lunch and talking, everybody kind of has their own roles, and we're also kind of all mixed up together.
But you are the one who puts the voice out there and gives the face out there. And so basically?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. How do you see the porn market in general these days? Are you happy with the direction that it's going right now? Or
I think it's been really positive, and I'm very happy with the way that the porn market kind of is, and well, not everybody, but a lot of people are becoming more sex positive and sort of more open, and it's less of a taboo. And so, I'm really happy with the way it's going.
Is there anything that you would like to see changed, or that would you like to see improve?
No, not really. Like, the great thing about Pornhub is that it's such a huge site, and there's so much diversity that's already represented, and we sort of have content that appeals to everyone's very vastly different tastes. I don't feel necessarily the urge that we need to change anything, or improve on something specific.
In this sense, what have been your most valuable learnings since you joined Pornhub? I mean, about like the whole market and stuff.
I mean, first of all, I've had a fully new understanding of what like running a business is like, and marketing and a brand and running a brand. I mean, like, Jesus. And, I'm like way more sex positive, I think, than I used to be. And I've sort of learned to incorporate that sort of newfound knowledge of being more sex positive into the mainstream branding. So it's kind of engulfed in my voice more than I think it may have been 2 years ago even.
What's your favorite kind of porn? I assume that since you work in a porn company every day, there's a point in which you don't get aroused with absolutely everything you see every day. But perhaps there's something that you find really like cool or interesting, or somehow like special. And so
I don't really have a favorite per se. I think there's kind of like a porn for every mood, like as if like you have an outfit for every mood, you have a porn for every mood. So like I find them all sort of interesting, and like they target each like a specific person. But I would say the amateur porn has also really taken on a whole new level. Like, I think it's really cool, and that it's so genuinely just two people at home, in the confines of their own home, who make porn, and they're making great money off of it. And so that's why we actually developed our model program, because amateur porn is like one of the biggest things right now. And it was up a lot in our 2017 year in review that we do every year. So I guess if you're asking me like what I find not necessarily personally like arousing, but just sort of interesting and cool, I'd say like maybe amateurs really taken on a new level that it never used to have.
And why do you think it's that?
I think people like real. I think the idea of that, no, this is like, there's no script, and there was no hair and makeup, and there was no set director and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, they were just like two people who wanted to make porn together and share it with you. And like, I find that really kind of exciting.
And what are like these sessions? Do they like, is it somehow like camming, or they're just like, hey, hello, we're like this and that, and we're gonna fuck for you guys?
Oh, it varies. Like the whole world. You should check it out. There's no like one specific way to do it. Yeah, like camming is technically amateur. There's like a whole subdivision of subdivisions of subdivisions. It's a whole field in itself.
Okay, wow. Do you have any specific Pornhub categories that are your favorites?
No, I love them all. I don't have a shame in my game. I just, like I said, it's a different outfit for a different day. It's like a different, what am I in the mood for today kind of thing,
All right. And is there anything that you don't like at all?
Honestly, I think my least favorite would probably be like girl on guy.
Girl on guy.
Yeah, it's like almost too bland for me at this point.
I mean, like boy, girl, penis in vagina. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
missionary in a bed and end of the story.
Yeah. I'm like over that,
Yeah, I've seen that too many times.
Give me something new and exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And what's the name of that category? Like, is it just like boy, girl?
Yeah, it's just boy. Yeah, just boy, girl.
Okay. Well, yeah, nothing new. Ooh.
No, not exciting. Well, I mean, it is exciting. Anything's really exciting if that's your go-to, but that's just not my personal go-to.
All right. Puritanical and moralistic nonsense aside, what are the biggest criticisms you receive about Pornhub and the funniest ones?
So like, I think the biggest criticisms that I face personally are people who kind of talk down to me about specifically my role. Like, I can't speak for other people, but I know with me, it's, people will talk down to me because like they don't believe in social media, or they have like a preconceived notion about pornography or whatever it is. And, a good portion of my day is spent on memes. But I honestly think that like my job is really badass,
Absolutely. Have they seen the number of followers you have or so?
Yeah. So yeah, like I think the biggest criticism is honestly just people sort of like saying what I do isn't important or something,
Okay. And does it somehow like intersect with you being a young, beautiful woman? Do you have that as well?
I don't know. I don't know if it has anything necessarily to do with that, because there's so many beautiful women out there who put their faces out there for different roles, I think it's more like I take, and it's sort of sad, but I take like memes very seriously. Like, that's not funny. That's old. We've used that before, and like you'd think I was saving lives, but I'm talking about a meme. But so, I mean, I get it, but I guess that would be like probably the biggest critique I get about my job.
Oh my God. That's unfair. I mean, humor, it's so serious in itself.
I know.
You can say so much with a joke. You can criticize so much with a joke. You can go.
I love a good joke. I never met a good joke and like.
That's so crazy. And also you have like this very, very specific approach. I mean, the way whenever I see your Twitter account and so, I mean, it's not even like just like any other memes or any other sort of like humor. It's, you have like really built like your own brand in terms of humor, or what can people expect from Pornhub Aria on Twitter. And
that's like the whole point, is that I like to be able to sort of bridge a gap so that people feel comfortable to follow us and feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to follow them. They're really funny, so they're not necessarily feeling a bit uncomfortable by following.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you have noticed, I mean, like from my experience in this industry, I think people really love to have a good laugh about porn, because sometimes they just cannot find any other easy way to relate to anything that's sexually explicit, that sometimes there's like too much shame or like too much like.
But I think that about humor, I love like comedy and I love humor. So I think that goes in all walks of life. The way that I live my life, I choose to live where obviously I'm not laughing at people's funerals, but I choose to view life in like a comedic way, because I just think it makes life go by like not faster, because that's dark, but just kind of more pleasant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I put a lot of faith in comedy.
Especially if you talk about sex, because nobody likes to talk about sex.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you recall, for example, any of like the funniest, most ridiculous particular criticisms that you ever had?
I can't remember of like one specific instance, but I just know like I get like people will really, be like, you really take this seriously, and you're like looking at Imager or whatever, and you're looking at memes, and you're like, or you're looking through somebody else's Instagram account, and you're like, wow, this person has such a good aesthetic, and I want to sort of model myself off of this. It's so inspiring. And somebody's like, dude, it's an Instagram account, So like things like that, where I get really inspired or feel connected to something and somebody just can't relate. I think that, like, I can't really think of one particular instance, but that's more so what I deal with.
Porn is life-changing in so many ways, or?
Pornhub is life-changing. Let's say that.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's our new slogan.
Cool. And finally, like, how do you see the porn scene in the next 10 years? Where would you be by then?
I think we're probably going to do like a full world domination, you know, because most people a few years ago wouldn't have expected to see us in New York Fashion Week or have like a hugely successful pop-up shop in Soho. And so I kind of just think the world is our oyster right now, and we're probably just going to take over it.
Any concrete ways?
Not that I can tell you about.
Damn. Step by step.
Yeah, I mean, like when I say that we get new ventures every day and new ideas every day, I'm not kidding. So like, I honestly don't even know, but I'm telling you, in 10 years from now, we'll probably be a government or something.
The Republic of Pornhub.
Exactly. We had an installation in Los Angeles called Pornhub Nation in July. And it was like, what if Pornhub took over the government and the space? We had NASA, but it was called ASA. And like, it was really cool. And so it was like, I wonder if this would actually happen one day.
And you will still be there.
Yeah, I'll be the president. I'll be a past president. I'll be like Abraham Lincoln.
Amazing. From princess to Abraham Lincoln. That sounds a lot better. All right, that sounds great. Well, Aria, I really appreciate that you took the time to talk to us. And this has been like a really interesting interview. We will all be checking everything Pornhub related, the progress and so. And yeah, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Erstis Podcast Meets. If you enjoy these episodes, there will be more of this coming to keep you going in between our regular episodes. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you like to listen. New episodes come out on the first Friday of every month. Follow us on Twitter at Erstis Podcast and you won't miss a thing.
The Erstis Podcast.